at 6 p.m. Fun time here. First up, the minutes from March 28th, which was our last meeting. You all received a copy of those in email. Anybody have any questions, comments, additions, revisions? Anything?
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Eric moves, we accept. Steve seconds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's when I had my second one done. 28.
Wait a minute, you weren't here.
That's right. That's because I had my
So you
second
don't have to
item.
be here to you
To
can still
vote.
you can still vote on the meeting
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Because you know it's such an awesome
Yes.
note taker we have. Tonight's agenda, we had Joy Marvel from the Council on Aging had said to the selectmen that she wanted to meet with the Finance Committee. Now, she did not approach me directly, so she may or may not be stopping by, just FYI. First thing I wanted to mention also is that we currently have a 2-year unexpired term that no one has taken out nomination papers for. So if you know of anyone that might be interested and have an aptitude for this sort of thing, please make sure you spread the word, and we can
Right then in.
draft them or do something to get them to join us in our monthly fun.
Let's write them in and not tell them. Till after.
Okay, so the budget that and I'm sorry, and Jason Frazier is here from the school committee, just sitting in case we have any questions on the Silver Lake. So I guess as long as he's here, we might as well entertain that. Are there any issues at all with either of the two school budgets? What I sent to you over the weekend was an attempt in the green recommended column to capture what I thought.
Can we go up a little so we can see both schools?
Sure. There we go. To capture what I thought we had discussed over the course of the past few weeks, and also try to get a feeling for what the pulse of the town was. So it is by no. So the column that says recommended is just numbers
Did
and
we
different.
hear from the school about vocational? Is that why the number's down?
Yes, we did.
So the requested should be changed also, because we're not funding less than they're asking for, they're just adjusting their
The
requested.
145.
Well, they voted for the 145.
That is true.
So when there's an adjustment like that, will you revote? Because I thought normally, okay,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
it's not like we're,
No,
no, that's fine.
So, we took our vote in line with the town
Mhm.
deadlines to get our budget in,
Right.
to be included. So, I don't know at this point if it would be more of a formality for us to re-vote since we've already cast our votes for what's gonna be presented at town meeting. Be more than happy to stand up at town meeting on the floor and acknowledge this and make sure that there's no divide between what the finance committee is saying that they recommend and what we actually need at the school committee
Okay.
level.
Yeah, and
That would help.
and I guess that's probably my bad. I just assumed that we take the school committee's their vote as a
Yeah.
submission to us, and then we make an
change it
ultimate
because
change.
it's not like we're recommending less than what they actually want, but I think that's fine if they're willing to be there and stand up and just say that.
Well,
they
here's
actually
here's
adjusted
how
their
we,
numbers.
and I think that's great if you would be willing to do that at town meeting, and if you listen to my explanation and you disagree with it, by all means, weigh in. I emailed the superintendent and the finance director, Christine, and after the April 1st deadline, because April 1st is the deadline for submissions for students that want to go to vocational school, and as we know, it doesn't always plan out that way, but at least as of April 1st, they have to at least have an intent in, correct? So as of April 1st, they expect to, I think, was it four or five students? So they were projecting the expenses to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $105,000 to $110,000 if everybody ultimately accepts and goes to voc school. So I kept it at 120, thinking there'll be a little bit of a cushion in case transportation costs go up or something like that. but it would still also save us a little bit of money from what the original request was. So that's sort of how we got to that number. We can discuss it here as a committee, and make whatever change you all think is necessary. Other than that, the local budget is as they presented to us, and the Silver Lake is as they revised it and presented it to us, which I think we discussed last week. They've made some of those changes that we had requested. We had requested them come back with approximately 2.5%, and they came back with a 2.57 or something in that neighborhood overall budget increase, which again, our portion of it increased a little bit because our student enrollment went up. Is that capturing it fairly well?
It's very fair.
Okay.
I
So,
think that's what we discussed, we discussed it.
so that's how we are. And again, you know, this is just sort of me putting numbers to paper to try and move this meeting along tonight, just to make it a little bit easier for us tonight. So if you folks are good with that, we can continue on and move on to other departments. If you want to, you know, put the 25,000 back in vote.
Should we, while we have Jason here, also discuss the warrant articles, because there's so many school ones, just in case you want to, not hang up for our whole meeting. You can,
I'm
but.
gonna meet you over at the Board of Selectmen.
He's gonna be there
In case they have
anyway.
any questions as well. Thank you. More than happy to talk to you about the warrant.
So under the special town meeting, again, just as a reminder, there is some money coming back to us from the school committee from both the special education line and the vocational line that was not used for this past fiscal year, approximately $200,000. And so for the special town meeting, we are looking to use some of that money to pay for the generator that needed to be replaced. And it's also an upgrade for the generator to finish the work on the water treatment plant, which is money that was voted at last town meeting. And then we are establishing a special ed reserve fund. And this is the maximum amount we can put in there. So this is getting that off the ground, and that just kind of covers us in the future for any sort of overages that might happen if somebody moves to town in the middle of the school year, or some other unanticipated expense happens over the course of the year. So this is something new that the state has allowed towns to establish. This is just putting a bucket of money aside to seed that. And again, this is 40 grand is the max we can put aside. So that's what
I have a
those three
question
are.
about,
Sure.
Barbara, special town meeting, you can't raise and appropriate, that has to be money that we have. It has to be money
Correct,
that
or
we
free
have.
cash.
Or free.
The free cash has been certified, we could use free cash in those.
Okay, so let me ask a question, and I think it might roll up to the whole thing. Like I said, when I saw the numbers, I was a little concerned with how far under budget we are
Yeah,
this
okay.
year, you know, with raising taxes. To the point where, you know, some things I had thought was maybe that's something we should use free cash and just let that money from the schools roll into next year's free cash.
No, it's fine. This is fine, this is an inter-transfer.
No, I know it's fine, I know we can do it.
Right.
I was just wondering if,
To be honest with you, I have what I lovingly call a cheat sheet I've played with, as far as funding the articles for the annual and the special town meetings. And there are other things that are gonna be funded at the special town meeting too, that are out of funds that are budgetary excesses within the town
Right.
side also.
I
So they're
understand
all
that too.
being done on the same plane. And what I put in here was only the amounts that they asked for, nothing else.
okay.
I haven't touched anything
Yep.
else that might be still in
But I'm
excess
concerned
of
the
the budget.
opposite direction, not that we're spending too much money, but that we're not spending enough money. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I know if you've adjusted revenue and we're taking less out of the ambulance fund or something.
I did do that. I adjusted the revenue in a couple of places, in the new growth, in the ambulance fund, in a couple of other areas on there. The other thing I did was, we have two other available sources for the annual, the free cash and the capital stabilization. What I did was I rearranged some of the articles for the annual, more to come out of the free cash, so we're using a little less of capital stabilization, so we can save that to rebuild, because last year we
Right,
went pretty
like-
close to the bottom.
Right.
And I've rearranged that, so if everything went through the way I have it currently, we'd still have 202,000 left of free cash. And we would have 339,000 left in capital stabilization, which is a good start, and then adding another 580 to it
But
next
how
year.
far below
We are not gonna
the
be,
tax rate, the 2.5% hourly, like how much
we're
money?
not. We have to raise 2.7% with what's been done here.
Well, that's not good either, I mean, I don't.
It's only a penny or two.
It
We're
is
only
only a
dealing,
penny bit.
we're
Okay.
only talking pennies or whatnot, so.
I
In
guess I
doing
have to
this
wait
way
to see
with,
how it-
yeah,
So,
with what we've
Okay, so I
adjusted,
just
you have to
wait.
look at the whole picture, I think, before you can.
right, I do, definitely.
'cause if we
Just
take
sort of going
more-
out of order,
If we
so-
take the special where it's all offsets has no bearing on the
Are there
recap.
more money articles than what we have up here?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, there must.
yeah, there are,
Okay, so
Yeah.
those-
They're on your cheat
so
sheet,
those
they're
we
here.
should get listed.
they're all here.
Okay.
These are the ones, and these are the sources, and these are the ones, okay?
And these have already been put in as unspent?
Received your
Yeah.
spot.
Okay.
Is
Yeah.
there another?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one on the end.
It's next to Eric, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I will ask more questions.
Well, I'll
Just
go,
don't
I'll
lean
go
forward.
through it with you, because it's
Straight
just
line
like,
at
you
your
know,
face.
I'll read what we have here for additional special town meeting articles, and I apologize for not making my sheet, I just got these
Right.
tonight. So there's additional town building maintenance.
yeah, they're putting money in OPEB, town building and maintenance, to put a little more in that article, so we have it as an emergency fund. In case we ever had another,
Do you
we have
look at
another
all the
flood.
sheets?
Just that one and the one I've got in front of me,
Okay.
but you can have this one after the fact. There are 3 unpaid bills from fiscal 17 that we have to do, which are only $693. The highway surveyor and the tree warden would both like some money to clean up some of the debris that's on the side of the roads and whatnot. So I put 25,000 approximately in an article for them to do some of the cleanup work, because there was no way they'd know there was as much damage as there was in the last couple of storms. I also put an article in here for the police station, which may or may not need as much. I put $75,000 in, because the last time I heard, and I haven't heard from the committee other than they felt they were really extremely tight and they didn't know for sure if they were gonna make it. They didn't need a lot more money, but maybe a small amount. So I put the other 75,000. We had sitting there, it can go in the article. If they don't use it, then it goes back to the town automatically anyway. But with the bids that came in, they were closer to the max limit they were going to have than they thought they were going
So
to be.
that's to fund
To-
the construction itself?
That's just gonna finish the rest of the project that they
Okay.
had. And the water, and then the special needs reserve, the generator, and the water treatment article for the school department. And everything there would be transferred from another source. And up above, in the town administrator's salary line, there's extra money in there, about $35,000 in there, because unfortunately Liz didn't get to start until the end of November with us, and that had been funded for the whole year. In the maturing debt line, there's about another $35,000. And that money was put in because we didn't know when the building was gonna start. And had the project started earlier and not been delayed a little, we would have needed to make an interest payment on the bond in this fiscal year, sometime between April and June. So we put the money in there. Now, we don't need that, it won't happen until next year. There's money in group insurance, and in the town administrator's search line, there's still another $10,000 not appropriated. And then the special needs and the voc ed, we're not touching that. What they need is just gonna offset that and nothing else from those budgets. So there's ample money in what we have, and still come out with a little left over.
Can I just look at
You
this
can
for a
have it.
second?
Yeah, you can have it for your records. Okay.
Talk about it, yeah.
Okay. I'll leave it out, that way if we need it, we'll have it. I had this, but then I played with it and I went back and forth a couple of times, shuffling things around to see what would do us the most good.
Right. See, the whole thing is that if we're gonna vote on this budget tonight, we need to see a budget that has all this stuff already built into it. Cause I can't vote on a budget, you know, so we need to. Yeah, but I need to see this budget here that shows me
Oh,
everything
yeah,
that people are
But
asking
that's what
for.
this,
You
that's
know
what
I'm
this
saying?
does.
You know?
We may or may not be able to actually do our final vote tonight. I mean, I think that was kind of
Mhm.
wishful thinking on my part, because I don't wanna come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, no. Oh, we can come back after selectmen's meeting.
We could do that
Yes, we
too,
can.
right, exactly, we could do that.
What I did was I took the total budget from the budget sheets, from these sheets that are there, and then added the articles, these amounts that are on here, and came up with the figure, then took off, then added the other things that normally come off on the recap sheet, then took off the things we need to, and came down with the bottom line that would be our levy, and then divided it out by what we have for valuation currently, which we all know isn't gonna be the same as next year, but it's the only thing we can use for the time being. Right?
I was thinking all those big trees laying on the side of the road, they should just call J.D. Williams down there in South Carver, have him send a truck up and get them.
Well, yeah, but we have to pay him to do that.
No, he's gotta come up and make lumber and sell it.
Well, that's up to the highway surveyor and the tree warden, not me.
It's $693 on unpaid bills.
It was 693.90, so I rounded it up.
Ah.
Thank you. She snuck that 90 cents in there just to throw me off, because she knows.
Who, me?
I didn't see the 9 upside down.
Oh, yeah, that, the $693.90 is the unpaid bills. I can't do anything about it. It's gotta be voted. If it's gonna be voted and you're not gonna do the 90, then you gotta go up a buck.
I did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, yeah,
694.
694. Yeah.
Round it up.
So I think that's all of them now.
Yeah, it's be 265, 694.
Alright, good. There's nothing for, school down here, so the phone system is the only other school item. that's
Yeah,
in the annual,
yeah.
So, which I think that's kinda,
Yeah, that's fine. There was talk of moving that around, but I think we can leave well alone, well enough alone and take that
Yeah,
out of
we-
next year.
yeah, we moved it and then we moved it back.
Yeah. And I left it in there too, so.
Okay,
Okay.
so,
Okay, so you
Cool,
put it
maybe,
in.
anything more to add?
I just appreciate working with you guys this year. Lisa, appreciate all the support you've shown over all of the years for the schools, especially knowing that that's where you started out. Thank you for all your time and dedication.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
You guys.
I'll see you in the
Thank
big
you.
room.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys,
Jason.
appreciate it.
So shall we start with revenue then? Is that the way we should, instead of looking at the budgets, to know what we actually have for money?
Yeah, and actually, Nate, when you get through all those other things,
These?
or some of the other ones, for the special, those are all being transferred from
Other lines.
other lines.
Right.
Then none of them are coming from free cash, they're all
Right.
transferred.
Right. Yeah, so these, you're saying I should copy all these and.
Yeah, just put them over in the other column too. And I will, if you so choose, make the motions like I've done before. Is that all right?
Whatever you say.
I think the selectmen were hoping for that too.
Oh, I told them, but this is their game and I don't want, usually I just hand them a piece of paper and say, read it, but I don't want it. It's gotta be your choice that I do that.
Well, as long as we're on the warrants page, let's at least look at the other warrants and see. These, I think, are the only financial ones, and Liz, please jump in if there's anything that's been changed since.
The three are.
The triennial, not that it matters that much, but they had me change it. They want it to say centennial.
Oh, the
um,
22?
Yeah, that one. Assessor's consultant, I think that the 1,500 is very reasonable, and I'm glad that they're pursuing compensating somebody for the work in this manner as opposed to trying to add a whole new employee.
Yeah.
So this, I don't have any issue with the 1,500. And I think that the selectmen, and we can hear more from them this evening, but I believe that they would view this as a reasonable expense, because it does add money to the tax rolls when they're able to track down the owner's unknown pieces. The cruiser is lease payment, fire department lease payment. The PPE for the fire department, I spoke with the interim chief because we had a discussion how, I guess last year when you had talked to the former chief, he had indicated that maybe going with 30,000 every year. But it seemed like the 15, they thought that it would cover it. Because last year it looked like they requested roughly 45,000,
40.
and then we're given 30. So
So I think when we were planning
Got 45
for
and-
capital purposes, when we were developing our 5-year plan, we had
And you went
sort
with
of
the
set
30.
aside 30 per year
Okay.
as kind of a anticipated need.
okay.
So if they only need 15 this year, that's
They
certainly
indicated
okay
that
with
they
us.
were okay with the 15.
Okay.
They don't have the call numbers that they used to have.
No,
Not
it's
that
dropped
many to
a little
quit,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, it's dropped.
Like
The
when I was
revenue has
there.
dropped.
Yeah, and the revenue has dropped on the ambulance end of that.
So that 250 should slide over to free cash.
Huh?
250 should go, instead of capital, should go to free cash.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the
Control X.
Well, there's
Control V.
there's one missing there.
Oh, I missed it.
The two. Oh, did you put the 48, but you didn't put the 240 for the cost of the police station bond.
Isn't that in
That's in the budget,
It's in the
but,
budget.
but it's coming out of the, capital stabilization.
that's not
Okay.
though.
It's not
That's
here.
not a separate warrant.
No,
okay.
no, it's budget, and it's
Oh,
gotta
gosh,
be
you
now.
mean-
I looked
Did
quick.
somebody
I
send
looked
me
too.
something and then?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Is it 240 or 235? I thought.
I've got 240 on here, I
Okay.
don't know which it
We had
is.
235.
All right,
I
that's
can
fine,
change
whichever
that.
it is, no, whatever it is on the budget thing is
Yeah.
what we,
It's down the bottom.
oh, okay, it's 235, so
Okay,
I'll
all right,
change
good.
that.
So there's nothing more. We have, these are all the ones that,
Yep.
That's
The
it.
financial ones.
I think that there might be some discussion this evening about the Council on Aging article, because that came forward at the last possible second.
Yep.
With really no backup information whatsoever. I did inquire with the current director. I said, what are the plans for the current van that's being utilized? And they intend to keep that and use it too. So there's no kind of trade-in. They're looking to purchase a brand new van outright. There was no interest in a lease option or building it into some sort of a long-term planning initiative. So I would imagine that the selectmen will have some concerns. I certainly did.
I
Yeah,
think
cause we don't have a second employee to
Absolutely.
drive it either.
in the past,
Right.
they have expressed an interest in getting a second driver. So I
We don't
suspect
have
this
that.
must be first
It
step.
might be laying the
Achieving,
groundwork
yeah.
for it, but they did seem to mention keeping the other van running too, which then raises some concerns. If you're having volunteers operate the vehicles, then, are they covered on the town's insurance? I don't think they are, and that's, so I don't know that we want to necessarily have more vehicles than employees to operate them. So that's somewhat of a concern. She did indicate that she would attend the selectmen's meeting this evening to kind of give some sort of explanation for that one.
Okay.
But that was really it as far as anything that stuck out to me.
Okay.
HP accessible, I see.
Okay. Any comments about any of these? Okay, so now we'll go to the revenue side of things. Which I think this is, Barbara, what you have given us.
Yeah, originally
weeks
no, I think it's, can you go up a little farther? Okay, that's 75,000 for new growth, I dropped to 50 after getting an email from Wendy that she's concerned about how much new growth we're gonna have, so I dropped it to 50. The rest of it's, the debt exclusion's
Still
fine.
taking 200 from the ambulance?
I had 250 and I dropped it to 200, and the 2 is on that one that Nate has. So that's okay. I took the free cash that was there and I dropped it to match up with this for the time being, and just so I could see how it was affecting everything. And instead of using 649, I used the 447 that's on here.
Right,
Okay.
but it is still available.
It's available, but I
So-
wanted to do it so I could see what the bottom line was and get an idea of what the tentative rate could be, so that's why I did that. Because the bottom line there is inflated,
Why is it inflated?
because if we don't use all that money, it's,
If we don't use
Does
the
it-
free cash, what happens to it?
it gets turned over till next year. It closes out with everything else and it recertifies for next year.
So it's not put towards, okay, it just moves over to next year.
Closes out with everything else.
Okay, I didn't know. It's never happened to us before, so I've never known
Well,
that.
we've had very small amounts, a
Yes,
couple of
but I mean,
$1,000
it's never
here
where
and there,
we've-
but never like this. But we
Okay.
haven't had an amount like that. We had an extreme amount of building and whatnot go on this year,
And
last
back
year.
in 14, when we did have an amount like that, we needed every penny of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Um,
with Cisco coming in, yeah.
So,
So-
should it be adjusted
I did, so it
for
would
how
look
much we're
true
actually
to,
using?
yes, I did,
Because
so it
whatever
would
we
show.
don't use specifically, we'll just roll into next
Right.
year.
Yes,
So what she's saying is you go back to this page and the number down here at the bottom, she artificially took $200,000 out of that,
Right,
which of course would affect this bottom number too.
right. Should we go do that ourselves? Adjust the free cash number too? To what we're actually spending in free cash?
if you,
Or at least, maybe if we put a note with it?
you were,
Or
you
either
were
that or we have to
concerned
deduct it
about
there.
showing the
Yes.
total amount that was available on this sheet.
I'm
Right.
concerned with right there, that total $515,000, $500,000 under levy.
Mhm.
So
That's
if,
not gonna change that.
well, it is gonna
It'll
change
change
it
it
if
by
the revenue goes
200,000.
down, or it'll change it by $200,000.
No, we changed the 9 to 7 on the left.
Well, if you change it, the total
So
revenue
what
is
is the
then
revenue number
11,
on the right? The
Remember, the
11,800?
right, the 11.8 is what we actually had, so the 12, or,
No.
that's what
I thought that's
what we
what we
had
wanted
last
to
year
spend.
plus 2.5, right,
Right,
exactly.
okay,
So what we
okay,
had
so
last year
that's-
plus 2.5.
So that's the
Okay.
revenue we would like to spend,
Correct.
that would be a 2.5% increase if we
These
spent
numbers-
all that money.
This number's now wrong though, the 152 is now wrong.
yeah.
So that number is now,
Well, with the adjustments I made, it brought the levy down to 11,826,152. Instead of 11,869, it's 11,826,152.
So that's how much, so if we spend 11,826, 152, we spend that, we're raising taxes by 2.5%, approximately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but right now, we're still spending $472,000 less than
no,
that.
because again, this
No, we're
warrant
not.
number's wrong. So
The
I gotta-
warrant
I gotta
number
change
is
that
off.
warrant number to 402 over here.
402 plus the 48. That's in the other column.
But
Don't
no,
you?
That's not,
That's the
that's
capital.
kind of capital.
Yeah, but it's still against the total,
Okay, 4,200.
because the capital stabilization is part of the forecast.
Yeah, but CPF, yeah,
Yeah, I
capital
got it.
is separate down there,
That's
so that's going down.
CPC,
CPF,
CPF.
that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, but it's still part of the amount for capital stabilization is in this revenue projection in the 11,826,
Right, so we just
so it's
put the-
gotta,
those are the capital, the 400,
Okay, those two.
48,000 is what's coming out of capital,
okay,
right? That's what you have, 48,000 coming out of capital?
and the 240 from, 235 from the budget.
Right. Well, right, because it's in the budget.
Mhm.
But see now, so see that bottom $472,000?
Yeah.
We're still that much below 2.5%. according to these numbers. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot.
But there are things on the,
Yeah, see, that's what I need to
yeah,
understand.
well, when I did this whole thing, I took the revenue, the, income from the state and the cherry sheet, then the free cash, the ambulance fee, the capital stabilization that we had here roughly from the new one. And then the total for that, and then I took out the things like the overlay is not on this form at all.
It's not on our revenue form.
It's on the projected revenue, but it's not something we have to raise. It's an automatic thing, and that's another $250,000 that comes out automatically.
That
The
bottom
snow
line
and
right there, revenue available, is
is
that what
the-
revenue's available?
yes, but it covers everything. It covers the snow and ice deficit that has nothing to do with this whole things. There are other things that go into doing the recap sheet to get a bottom line for the 2.5%
I'm getting
levy.
so confused, and
I'm
I've been doing this
sorry.
for 10 years now. We've always had that bottom revenue
And
number,
that's what it's,
and that's how much money we got to spend.
right,
So
That's how much
money
you
we get
can
to spend.
vote,
That's
yes.
how much money we can vote.
yes.
So if that number is, if we wanna go below that number because we just wanna hit 2.5%, we're gonna say we only wanna spend 11,876,000.
We haven't spent bottom line for years. We were over $500,000 last year. We have the capacity, but that doesn't mean if we go to capacity, the increase is only gonna be 2.5%. It's not. It's gonna be closer to 4%.
Exactly, so that's why the 11, instead of the 12,292,000, which is on your budget sheet, right? We're saying that we only wanna try and spend 11,876,000.
No, it's 11,826 on my forecast sheet.
11,826.
So that's total, that's more than 2.5% increase.
Yes. Because that's the total
So
amount.
what is that 12,292,000?
That's probably
under-
what last year's was it? Or
No, that's from your revenue tab. Right here, it's from right here.
So, see, that's what I'm
I've
saying.
changed that though umpteen times. That isn't on my,
So that's what, we need to have this revenue sheet look like your revenue sheet.
see, I took the 649 down to the 447,
Okay,
and I took the 500 down to what we were actually expending. I took it down to 290, it's
Okay, so
283.
I think we need to change those numbers. Or do we not? Because if we're
well,
definitely
this
not.
number is what we have available to us to spend.
Right,
If we were to raise funds to the maximum allowed,
right,
that's what we have to
Right.
spend. So in a
Correct.
bad year, that would be what we would have available to us if we had
mhm,
untold expenses.
yeah,
So I think that's what we should show, because it is kind of what we could spend up to.
okay,
This number
mhm,
is what Barbara has on the bottom of her sheet by withholding, changing the free cash spend and changing the.
okay,
So this is
okay,
the
that's the
number.
target,
This
So
is a
the number-
target
this
to
is-
be about
This is your number that you
2.5%.
wanna hit.
okay,
About
Right here.
2.5%.
okay. Okay,
And that
but we're
agrees, and that
still under
agrees,
by $500,000.
Approximately, yeah.
approximately.
So that means we're gonna be raising taxes, what percent?
2.7%.
Even being 400 and
Yeah,
something?
because the 12 million that we
No, no, the
could,
11,800,
right,
that's not 2.5%.
it's 2.7.
So what if we spend 400,000 less than the 11.8? It's less than 2.7.
Yeah, it'd be about 2.3, 2.2.
Oh, so $500,000 only makes that about 0.5%
A couple,
tax rate. Okay, so that's what I guess I was trying to understand. We're not raising 2.7 because we're not spending 11,800,000. We're spending 11,400,000, or a little less than that.
350.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It is. Okay, I mean, that's good, it's great if we could be a little under the 2.5. I just was not understanding what we were.
Well, the thing of it is, our levy limit,
Yes, I understand.
we're way under the
under
levy
already.
limit anyway. So there's no way if you look at the top part of this,
Uh-huh,
the bottom line figure with the levy limit would be $9,949,000 would be what would show on that recap sheet. And even with all of this, right now, what's gonna show is, 9,218,000 versus the 9,000,009 that we could spend. So, and that includes the, debt
no,
exclusions
that's
and
fine, I mean,
everything.
looks like if the tax rate's gonna be going up about 2.2%.
It's about 2.7 right now unless you change things down more. I said to you, it's 2.7 with
it's
all.
But we
2.7
aren't
if we spend the
spending,
11,
we
we're
aren't
not
spending the
that.
11 because we have
We still, after
400,000 left
everything's
over.
I guess we're trying
There's
to
still
figure out
400,000 left.
where's that 472 going?
Yes. See our budget total right there, the 10,902,000,
There's
and then the warrants,
There's
400.
$250,000 in
Yes.
addition to that, that's never voted, that goes on the recap sheet for the overlay account. That's part of the process, and it's always, always, always been on this forecast sheet.
But it's already.
So that comes
deducted.
out of that 472, what you said.
Out of what 472?
That's 472.
No, well, yeah, that 472 comes out of there.
No,
The other thing,
no,
It's already
it's
accounted for
already
in the
deducted.
11A.
where is it accounted for?
In the 11.8.
No, it isn't. It's not in this budget process
But
at all.
This is 11.8, and
Right.
it deducts, and this is deducted.
Deducted off of that. Yeah, but that, the 11.8, okay. Alright.
I'm not trying to fight with you
No,
at all.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
I'm just saying that this is the way we've done it for
Okay,
all
but
the
what,
years we've done it.
and what I've
Have-
done is I did exactly what I've done all along
Okay, so what
too.
did you do?
And I
Tell
took
me
the
what-
total budget, the 10,902,911.
So what did you start with for revenue on your sheet?
I started from the budget process and went the other way. I took the budget, the articles that were
And how
voted,
much do you have for the articles?
288, which was on here, and it's $5,000 off, so it's no big
So how come
deal.
we have 402?
I didn't put the 402, Nate did with
Is
his
that for this
thing.
year's?
But it's right there, 402. So I'm just trying to see how our numbers need to match your numbers. and your
Mine
numbers
has
match up.
447 in it for articles, so.
Okay,
I have
Let me
447,
understand that far.
It's 402 plus the 40.
Plus 48,
So it's
904.
450.
no, the 48 is a different source, and I have that separately.
Oh, okay. It's different. Different
Because
source,
the
but isn't it
100
still in the budget?
Hmm?
It's a different source, but isn't it still in the budget?
What I did was I took the bottom line budget, then I took the articles
Okay.
from the free cash
Okay, but
and
can
the
we match-
articles from capital
If we
stabilization.
match each one of your numbers to our numbers, then I'll be comfortable with it. So if we match the budget, you have 10,009,000.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Which
next
we haven't
line.
voted on yet,
Right,
but
but
that's
that's just
proposed.
to match ours to ours, right.
And then I had $447,000 worth of articles and whatnot, which
Okay,
is
which
what's
we have
on.
451, so we're off a little bit there.
Do you wanna?
But the 48 isn't in mine at all.
Okay, so are there?
Oh, so
So-
But there's
Wow.
100,000 from the budget that's going in there that isn't on there also.
What's that one?
Which warrant articles do you have that we don't?
I have 100 for the, I'm using it as a source, cause I'm taking it off. 100,000 for budget, 32 for the, audit, 250 for the, road work, 2,000 for property valuation, 2,500 for the centennial, 1,500 for the consultant, 13 for the police vehicle, school system is 31, and 15 for the PPE stuff. They all came, that total was
So she's not including
447.
the handicap van.
So you're not including
No,
that?
because then in addition to that, I added the 288,903, which is the 240 for the other budget line for the, bond payment in the,
Did you include the van
Voice.
anywhere in your numbers?
no, I did not.
Okay, that's the
That
first
must be
question.
why.
Okay,
So there's
well,
no
it's
van
not on
included.
there.
Well,
Oh, yes, it is, I'm sorry, it is
We
there,
haven't
that's
voted
why.
anything, but it is
That's
there.
why, it's not in mine at all.
So, tell me that, just that $100,000 that you said. It's not a warrant article, where is
It's gonna be used against the budget. It's a reduction on it and be used against the
It'll be
budget.
used, it's free
From
cash
free
you're saying
cash.
that we're gonna use on the budget.
Mhm.
Okay, but it's not a warrant article.
Mm-mm.
So for warrant articles, if we deduct, let's just take that 55 out for now, Nate, because she doesn't have it. Can we just put it under, away from recommend? You can leave it there, take it off of the recommend side.
Put it off of the free cash side. Yeah, take it off the free cash side.
Yeah, because they still requested it, but we're not.
Yeah, you can leave it in the recommended,
Right,
requested. part.
So we
So
have,
that's the 347 plus the 100,000 for the budget, is the
Okay.
447
okay,
that I
but we
have.
can't, but that 100, we don't take that into consideration yet, because the budget, free cash is built into the revenue number, so the 11,000,008 is the revenue number. Warrant articles, we have $347,000, the
Okay.
budget is 10,902,000. Now, the warrant articles that were taken out of the capital, fund are $49,000, which when you take the revenue, the 11,800,000, you subtract out everything in the budget, you subtract out all the warrant articles, you subtract out all the money from the capital fund, we're still $500,000, spending $500,000 less than the 11,000,000.
Then the levy limit, yes.
Not than the limit, than the 11,800,000. It's $500,000 less than the 11,800,000, not less than the 12,200,000. So I'm trying to figure out why
I
our
did it
numbers
the
aren't
reverse,
matching your
I
numbers.
don't know what it is, to be honest with you. Cause I just did it the reverse way, the way it's on the recap sheet, and took the budget and plugged it across the papers and then added the other things to
So you
it
took
and
the
went through.
budget.
I took the
Okay, so
budget,
explain yours without me trying to compare it to this again. You
I
the
took
budget.
the budget lines from there and the group of articles, the free cash and whatnot, then the tax taking, the cherry sheet offsets, the general stabilization and the capital stabilization that are on here down below that we have to put into those accounts. Got a total, took off the state receipts and the local receipts, came to a net figure, then used the free cash and other funds we had that we were using towards the budget against that, and came down to a figure of 9,218,242 as the amount we would have to raise on a recap sheet. And I used the valuation that was on there from last year and got an $18 tax rate. I just did it backwards.
Sorry, I thought my coat was under my chair.
I did it the reverse way, the way I would have to do it when I did the recap sheet for the funding.
I understand that Barbara's coming in from an accounting point of view.
Yeah.
However, as a finance committee member, I need to look at our revenue number. If we're saying it's 11,800,000, which is about a 2.5% increase, I have to look at what numbers that we have budgeted, which is 10,900,000.
Yep.
I have to look at the warrant articles that are being voted at town meeting, which are $347,000, and then the warrant articles that we're gonna take out of the capital fund. Those numbers take 11,800,000, subtract out the budget, the warrant articles and the CPF warrant articles, and we come out with, we're still under budget, under the 2.5% target rate budget by $527,000. Now, if we're saying that $527,000 is only about less than 0.5% adjustment to the tax rate anyway, I'm okay with going under by that. But I'm not actually feeling comfortable with what I'm being told, if that's.
I completely understand. I completely understand where you're coming from. And I'm doing what I understand the process to be from past years.
Yes, that's how we've done it for 10 years, and maybe.
But I
Bob
also
was a
know it always
different
works out with what Barbara tells us, so I'm at a loss to explain what that
Last year,
$500,000 is.
we had an extremely high new growth rate. And we used, that changed things with that and it allowed us to drop below the current rate. But it wasn't that changed what we spent. The fact that the tax rate dropped last year had really little or nothing to do with what the town voted as expenditures. What changed it was the huge increase in valuation.
Okay.
Huge increase in valuation.
So,
Multiple
About-
thousands of
say we're
millions
gonna
of dollars.
say spending to the absolute levy limit this year was a 2.5% increase. Just say that that's what it was. If we spend about half a million less than that, would that be about 0.5% in the tax rate? About, I know that that's hard
I don't know, you have to go back and to pick a figure and then divide it by the valuation. Because that's the way the process is for the tax rate. It doesn't matter how,
See, what
there's
what
more
these
than,
numbers showing me is that we're only spending 11.3, not 11.8. We're spending 11.3.
11.
Which is about right, because we've got
11.8 minus
10.9 here
5.7.
plus 400,000.
Right, 11.3. That's all we're voting at town meeting, 11.3.
I agree, that's what it appears.
I know that there are other things that get paid for, however they get, or whatever that, but we're only asking the town to vote 11.3. Right?
Can you see how she got there?
oh yeah, I
Okay,
can
all
see
right.
what she's doing.
Yeah.
But what's not on the budget that is on this, that we have
But
to
we've already
raise
deducted it
also.
from, but we've already deducted it. That 11.8 has already deducted those numbers.
It's deducted them, but it's not part of what's on the bottom that's showing you the difference. Because the
part of what's on the bottom?
10902 that's there is only the budget
It's only the
process.
things that people are telling me
It's
to vote
not
for.
the deficit for snow and ice. It's not the
Right,
deficit.
I understand
So
all of
if
that,
you
but
take
that's-
the
but that's
10
already been deducted from the,
That's part of the 11.8. It's not
Right.
deducted, it's part of it. So to see how far below you are for the 2.5 million target, you gotta add those back in to see that you're not $527,000 below what you can do.
No, we're coming from different points of view.
Yes, we are.
Because our expenses, those snow and ice deficit, the overlay, the title tax recap, those have already been deducted from the total funds available. The
Right.
total funds available, actually 13,000,003. Those are total funds available, 13,000,003.
Right.
Then we deduct out all those other things and we come to 11, well, we actually come to 12 too, but we're saying we're only gonna
Right.
spend 11,
It's 11.8.
11.8.
Well, there's adjustments on here that haven't been,
Should we make adjustments here right now?
that's up to you guys.
And I'll say the same thing I
Yes.
said
There's still funds
10
that
minutes
are
ago.
available.
This is funds that's available.
Those are
I wanna
funds.
reflect
We
what
could spend 12,000,000 too,
Correct.
92.
Correct,
You could.
But we're saying we're only gonna spend 11 something,
correct.
so, cause we,
Still doesn't get us any closer to
Right.
figuring out where that $400,000
because it's already taken account for
It's
I'm-
accounted for
in the
on
revenue.
this as the amount we can go, but it's never vote. There are things that go on the recap, like I said before.
Right, but
that are
because
never
that's why you
voted.
deduct them. That's why you
Right.
deduct them, because they automatically have to be paid, they're not included. That's why you take the total funds available to the town, 13 million, and you say, okay, but now we automatically gotta take care of all that snow and ice deficit, we've gotta take care of the title tax recap, the overlay, all that stuff has to come out. So we deduct it all out, and we come up with total available for approximately 12,292,000. Then we say, okay, well, if we spend 12,292,000 this year, we're gonna be raising taxes about 5% or 7%. We don't wanna do that. We wanna just raise taxes 2.5%. So what number approximately, because I know it all depends on the valuation and stuff, would be a 2.5% tax increase? And at that point, we're told, oh, it's 11,000,008. Now, we say, okay, so if we spend 11,000,008, we've already taken care of the overlay and the ice, all that's out of this already. If we spend 11,000,008, we're gonna raise taxes 2.5%. then we say, okay, so we're spending.
No, we didn't say if we spent 11,000,008, we were gonna raise the taxes 2.5%.
We didn't.
No, we didn't. What we're saying is, that's what the state would allow us, is the maximum amount that we could raise. That doesn't mean that
Well,
amount,
we could,
we can raise the tax levy by 2.5%
right.
plus
but
the
if we
new
only
growth
wanted-
annually.
Right, but if we only wanna raise the tax rate by 2.5%, we can spend 11.8.
No,
The tax, the levy,
Okay, what can we, so what number is
I
that?
didn't figure that, I didn't go back and
That's
compute
what we've
the,
been working under the assumption that if we spend 11.8, that's a 2.5% tax increase, that's what we were told.
I've never told you that. I have told you time and again, that's the maximum amount of the levy is the 9,949,000. That's the amount available to the town. But when we do all of this, we come to a lower number because we haven't raised the levy limit here in years. In the last
Right,
4 or
we've been
5 years,
below
we've been
all
4
the
to
time.
500,000 below.
Right,
So if we go all the way up to the 11.8 now, we are doing what we've already done, plus 4 or 500,000 more, which is gonna take the tax rate up higher than
then what happens if we spend
2.5%.
the 12,292?
Then your tax rate is gonna be higher. And it's still legal under the
I can't vote on
state.
this budget unless I know how much revenue we can spend and have a 2.5% tax increase. Approximately. I know that you can't, because it all depends on how the valuation and all that stuff goes. But we need some kind of an approximate number to be able to vote this.
9,200,000 net. It's just done such a backwards way compared to the sheet is. If you stuck with the 10,902,000 and everything
Well,
else,
can I
it's
ask
gonna come out
Liz what you
about
think?
18.
Like, what are you thinking?
If
I know you work budgets, woodwork, you know.
Barbara's sat down with me numerous times and has gone over that sheet there
forecast.
that you have, the forecast. So I was able to understand it when she went through it, but I also see the perspective that you're coming at it from. I guess what we need to figure out here, if the 11,826, and then you deduct these items, and then it looks like you would have that left to spend. Now, Barbara, are you saying that out of this 527, that then we need to go back and account for snow and ice deficit and some other things? Because I
have
think
to
what-
account for them when I did this sheet the reverse way.
were they
so-
already accounted for them
Yes.
in this 11?
Yes.
So we don't need to
So we
account
don't
for
know-
those again.
No,
So if we
I
if
went,
we
on
put
this
the-
sheet I
But the
do.
11.8 is more than a 2.5% tax
It's much
increase.
more than a 2.5%
What
increase.
is
That's
it,
what
like
I'm telling, I don't know,
2.7
I've never
maybe?
figured it.
Okay.
No, a 2.7 is what they've already done. So if you add another 500,000 to it, it's going to be more money.
So if we
Okay, so we're at 2.7% with what we've got spent right now.
Right.
That number is just incorrect, that revenue number.
are we at that though? I would have thought that if you were anticipating having this available to
That's the
spend-
maximum levy limit the state will allow.
Okay, so that's the max allowed. Then deduct the
I don't know,
budget.
what's the 12.2?
I thought the maximum allowable was the 12.2. Or 12.3.
No, because
No, on the left, where,
So,
the 12,896?
This
No,
isn't
no.
All right.
right.
on our sheet, this one
I
right
don't-
here.
And that's
I don't
It's
know where that 2
12,292.
came from.
If we
I don't have it on anything
if
I
we
still
forget
have.
the 12 for a second and go with the 11.8,
Mhm.
and then you deduct everything, assuming that people approve of the budget as is, and then you deduct the warrant articles and the capital one, the fire vehicle lease. Doesn't that still put you?
We're
Like-
spending 11.3.
So you're spending 11.3. So then is there a way to calculate what 11.3 does as far as
The
the
tax rate?
percentage? Yes.
Well,
Would it be 11.3? Is that accurate? Like if you
No, it wouldn't be, because then there are things that are The 11.3?
So say if you take 11.8, which already accounts for
Yeah,
snow
I'd
and
have
ice
to go back
deficit
with
and
the
everything.
calculator, I can't do it with the paper one. I just
Okay.
did it the reverse way and took the budget and the articles and then the other things we have to add to it, and then took off the receipts and whatnot, which is what you have to do. Then take out the other sources of funding that we have, take it off, and it came to 9,218,242. And it gave us roughly an $18 tax rate.
So 9 million though, so that wouldn't even fund.
It is gonna show on there, no?
So it wouldn't the 9 million
It would,
number-
because the 9,200,000 is net of the,
Okay.
it's net of the free cash, it's net of the, capital stabilization
Okay.
fund and the ambulance fund and the other things that we use.
See, in the past, we've been given a revenue number and we've been told this is the most money we can spend.
Okay.
And that's the 12,292. The most money the state
So
would
the
possibly
town-
allow us to spend.
Well, and that's what the 11,
So if
and that's
they
the
go
exact
with
same
the-
thing that 11,826 is, that's the maximum amount the state will allow you to spend.
How can they only allow us to spend, how can they allow us to spend only 11,800
Well,
and 12,200?
Barbara's holding some in reserve to roll over for free cash for next.
But the
That's what
12.2
it is.
figure, I mean, I've changed this probably so many times.
But that
But
was
I
what
don't
came us
have-
2 weeks ago.
Well, I don't have that one anymore, cause I
Okay.
just printed the new ones and went by that one, so.
Okay, well,
And I did
here it is if
reduce
you
them,
wanna see it.
and I did reduce, okay,
So,
so
would
you gotta
So
go
are
all the way
they
up,
safe
Nate, 'cause
then with the 11, at that, the 11.8 figure, and then when you deduct it, it should still look like they have about 500,000 of play. Is that
But
accurate?
it still would show up, if they spend that much more, it's still gonna show up on the tax rate and it's going higher than 2.7%.
But it wouldn't raise a red flag with the state.
Oh, no,
we don't wanna
no,
raise
they,
money.
No, I
they can-
understand that perspective, but I'm just wondering
No, no.
from like what you're actually allowed to spend.
The way that 11.8 number started, we had asked several weeks ago for a number based on what was raised last year. So we wanted that
okay.
number plus 2.5%.
Right.
And that's where we started with a number, and I don't remember what it was, I'd have to go back to previous versions of the file.
Yeah, I'd have
To
to
see
go
where
back
it
to the
was
recap
stayed.
sheet.
Because that was our target amount that we wanted to spend. We wanted
Okay.
to take, all things being equal, valuations not increasing or decreasing, no new growth, whatever. That was what we wanted
It's 8,000,000.
If we
To have available to
to have
spend.
available to spend. And
It's-
raise taxes 2.5%.
Okay.
So that's where that
Wanna
number
calculate?
Is
came
there a
No,
way
'cause I don't
that we
remember what
can
the rest of it is.
calculate that tonight, or is
I'd have to
that?
go back in the office and pull the other stuff.
Okay.
I have to get the recap sheet and whatnot from last year for the levy limit that's on there, I
So
don't
it's
have
the
it here.
recap.
Because this is also assuming too that there's no council on aging ban,
Mhm.
and I'm sure taking into account a few other assumptions.
But the council on aging ban, if it goes through, is going to be transferred from free cash or something, so it's really going to be an offset. It's
Okay,
not going to increase the levy limit,
okay.
cause I would
Understood.
rather that come out of like
Yes,
free cash
right.
than,
But it's not gonna. This is bad, because this is not,
It almost seems like you guys have too much information to
What
work
we-
with.
what
Like
we
maybe
like
it
is
can be
the
brought
total-
down
the
to just
total
what is
revenue-
available to spend that won't increase taxes by more than 2.5%.
that's what we've asked for. But we do like to know the total revenue, which is the 2,292,000. That's the most the state will allow us to spend.
Right, but you don't intend on spending
But
that
we
number.
don't
You
wanna
want to
spend that.
keep
But
it
we
to
like to
2.5.
have that
We
number,
never do.
because we like
It's
to know.
good to know as a guide.
Right, but then the
Okay.
other number, the other revenue number we would like to work with is approximately a 2.5% tax increase. And
Okay,
that I thought that's what we were working with.
and is that
But
the
it's
number
not.
that you said is a 9 million?
No, it's not 9 million, no, because she's not including free cash and all of that.
Ah, okay.
what? The 9,218,000 was the bottom line figure of what it would be with what you had done,
But we're
what,
spending more than that, we're spending 10 million just in the budget, we're spending
it's still, there's $1,050,000 that comes off of that total gross picture
But
for
it's-
state revenue and another $960,000
I know,
that's
I know,
local
but-
revenue.
But wait, just because, are you saying 9 million, what was that million?
9,218,000
9,218, 9,218.
is the what would be the levy limit.
9,218 is how much we can spend in,
No, that's how much you would be spending if you followed through with what's on these sheets now.
So even though the budget and everything is more, once you work out the numbers, it actually comes
This
out
would
to.
come down with bottom line and it would be at 2.7%.
9,218 is,
It's approximate,
Right,
it's
right,
not
right, right,
cast in
approximate.
stone, none of this
Yeah.
is, the
But they don't need to
valuation
worry
isn't.
about changing or have to get these numbers down then, really.
so we're not balancing it, why are we even doing this budget?
Because their numbers come out to like
Because we're not
11.3.
balancing anything.
This is what we've done every single year, we've done
I mean, it's okay this year because we're trying to stay under budget. You know what I mean? But in a year where it's close, where we're telling people they need to cut or level fund, if we don't have a revenue number that we can work with,
The number we were given previously as our target was 11,870,000 basically. So
it's
we're,
2% increase.
was it
2.5%.
2.5% increase?
That's
That was the number?
2.5% on the levy limit, not on what last year was.
Okay,
That's
then there was a misunderstanding somewhere.
Because
I
we
have
were looking
not
for
been
2.5% on
All
last year.
All right,
I have not been asked
Okay.
for that.
all right, so that's the number that we would like to see, so
Mm-hmm.
we could set ourselves a goal and a target.
Okay,
Okay, so you'll be able to get that for us
yeah,
at
I'll
some point.
get that in a matter of minutes, if I get
All
out,
right, that'll make
walk
us
out
all
of the
feel
room and
better.
go get it.
I think we have to,
We can adjust that.
Well, maybe I'll
to
skip
go to
the,
BOS now?
maybe
I
I'll
can go to
skip,
BOS and tell them that you're still.
you guys go to BOS and I'll skip
Working.
BOS and
How,
go
are
to
they
the other.
done? Are they?
They were
Probably
doing
waiting
an
for us,
earth
right?
removal
Right, are they still
bylaw and it
working
looked
on
like
that?
a kind of a packed house. I was
Okay,
at
so
the
they're probably-
historical meeting, so I've
That-
been
that
kind
mean
of
I can't-
bouncing around.
I can't, that'll mean I can't dig up my lawn anymore without getting a permit?
No,
Please
you'll
don't
be
be mad at me, I'm
fine.
really
No,
not trying to
no.
fight with you, I always trust when you tell us, I just have to understand it too. And I can't.
From my,
Yeah,
from my days on the Board of Assessors,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
your levy limit, our levy limit has always been higher in this town than what we actually ever go after.
Well, not always, but it
The
has
levy
been
limit,
last
the
year.
since Cisco came
Right.
in, the following year, we have never gone to the levy limit.
Right.
This forecast that I
But the levy
give
limit
you,
goes up every year.
absolutely, it's, I mean, here's the
Climbs.
levy limit that started in 2011 was 5,886,459. Now it's 9,949,483. So yeah, it's gone up a lot in 7 years.
Even though you don't have the number in front of you that they're specifically asking for,
Gone up a lot in
just
40
doing
years.
some rough math, are we in a bad spot as far as what's been requested this year for
No.
budgets and, or we're okay?
No, we were.
No, she
No,
said, what
I-
she said
what I'm-
earlier is if we go, excuse me, Barbara,
Go
if
ahead,
we
please.
vote tonight based on what we have currently in the recommended column, which is 10-9,
Uh-huh,
if we were to vote exactly that tonight, we would be at approximately a 2.7% tax
Okay.
increase. So we're in the neighborhood, we
we
just need
just
to figure
kinda
out how
wanna
we got
make
there.
it, okay, understood. No, this has all been helpful for me, and Barbara going through the forecast sheets has been helpful. We try to do it every few weeks. We sit down as numbers
and I adjusted a
change.
few more in the
Um,
last couple of days, so.
Yeah, and it's good for me too, as far as next year being more involved in the process and everything.
Oh,
So
this is all yours next year.
I'm looking
No, you
forward to
guys
it
still
though. It'll
have to
remove me
present a
from some of
budget.
the other stuff that I've been doing and kind of give more of a big picture
Right.
type thing.
Sure.
Okay, so
I'm
can you
excited.
just go wave to the board of selectmen, tell them we're not
Yes.
quite ready for them yet?
Yes.
All right, wonderful, and you can.
And if worse comes to worse, if you just want to speak to them about your thoughts on the various warrant articles and you want to hold the budget for tonight,
Yes.
that's perfectly
We'll see how-
acceptable.
Right, we'll see how they're doing, if they can delay
They're more
for a little
concerned
bit.
what your thoughts are on some of
Sure.
the monetary
They can give us
pieces
another
for the
20
warrant.
minutes or so.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right, great.
Can I get around that?
As long as you watch your step.
Well, if I fall, I get
this point.
Who's gonna pay the bill if you call?
Who's gonna approve it?
Okay,
Get back from that light.
5 minutes.
we certainly can. We'll take
We
a
take 5 minutes.
5 minute recess. Jeez, love being counted down. We're back. So let's pick up where we were. So again, what I did over the weekend to prepare for this meeting was I simply took the requested amount and copied it over to the recommended amount. I did make some minor adjustments based on what I thought had come out of our previous discussion. So the first section you can see is untouched. So it's all the insurance premiums, stuff like that. Some of them are estimates. Oh, I take that back. This is new for you guys. I don't think you've seen this number before. Originally, this number was higher, but we did get the actual pension amount from the county, and so it is actually a decrease of 3.5%. So that's good. Originally, we had it in the neighborhood of like 500,000 because we thought it was going to go up a little bit. So that is nice to see. I'll have to confirm that with Barbara to make sure I put that in the right column. The second column is largely untouched. The only change that I made from what was requested was the Council on Aging Director. If you remember last week, we discussed they doubled the salary range for that position. And there was also, when they made their presentation, they were looking to add hours to the driver position. I think they were adding 4 or 5 hours per week. And they were also increasing his hourly rate, his salary, but the equivalent hourly rate by the maximum amount. So those two items are still reflected in here. You can see it's a 35% increase on the support staff line. So the only, and that also added the $2,400 that they had that matching fund for the additional receptionist type work that was being done. So all of that is in there untouched. Again, because that was my perception based on what I thought we were discussing.
Right.
We can discuss it further here. I split the difference on the director. We can go one way or the other. We can keep it level funded. We can go to the max. I thought where we were already increasing 35% that it was fair to kind of split the difference on the director. But again, that was just me taking a stab at it to try and make the numbers work. So that's the only change in this particular
I
section.
would like that input from the selectmen and town administrator.
Okay. Are you making a list of questions to ask then?
Yep,
Thank you.
yeah, because my notes are budget discussed.
And that certainly captures it. Refer to video. The next section is the assessors. The differences here, again, we had discussed a couple of times now, I think, that we, as a board, were taking the approach that we were going to keep positions sort of level funded, not level service for where they are currently in terms of number of hours. So that's what that is. So that keeps the assessors, staffing, and the assistant assessor, as far as number of hours, that keeps them at current level. It allows them the maximum increase that they were budgeted
Hey, how come
for.
that number's in the, this was one of my questions, line number 168, our recommended number is lower than last year.
Because they were asking for more. They were asking for more hours. So that's what I'm saying. They were asking.
No, but it's not lower than they requested,
It's lower than
FY
2018, 25
Because the hourly rate is changed. It's a new
Slow
person,
down.
new person in the
Oh,
role.
it's a new person.
Was
so
hired at a
they-
lower
so-
rate than the incumbent.
Okay,
That happens a couple of times. I think
so that, 24,390
Is
is
the
whatever they
current-
were making plus their two.
plus the 4.5%. Yeah,
4.5%.
exactly.
Were they here long enough for that?
No,
So,
but that,
But
there's
there's
nothing
no
existing.
bylaw yet, so.
So yes, they were, because
Oh.
there's nothing existing to say they can't do it.
oh, okay,
So we're gonna do it.
oh, understood.
And then next year, it's going to be discussed as to whether to change that to make it, I believe we, as this, which we have no control over that stuff, because it's all wage and personnel. But
Yeah.
I think we were thinking we would align it with the vacation policy, so you have to be here 6 months.
Yeah.
We just thought that made sense. So again, that's the only change there, is keeping everybody at the current hourly number of hours per week.
Okay.
Town clerk was as presented to us, major increase being the support staff for elections because of the number of elections and the increased labor to the, not absentee, but early voting. Yeah, early voting. Accountant, treasurer, as presented.
Oh, could you, this is one.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, and selectmen stipend.
Oh, sure.
Just in the requested section,
Yep.
could you just make that a 3 instead of adding the 2%? Because see how it goes up, it shows a 2%
You know what,
request?
I played with this, I must have played with this for like a half,
Just put the type the number 3 in instead of the
I had,
formula?
I had, I worked on it for like an hour, because it was doing the same thing with the board of health.
Yes, it's that one, yeah, that line 230 and 280, I noticed when I was looking at the.
Yeah, and I don't know, the calculation just did not work. So if I change it, why is it not working? Oh, why am I in read only? Oh God, what am I
Oh, were you in the right year,
I don't
we haven't changed anything, so close and open the last one.
gonna do? Hopefully it opens up again the right one.
Copy I got was read only.
Yes,
I
they
could
want
shut
me
it off.
messing around.
I could have shut that off though.
Okay, good, the number didn't change.
230.
No, I didn't, I had noticed it with the Board of Health and it was driving me crazy. I literally worked on it for about 15 minutes, trying to fix it until I realized, so I just took it out and put it back in, it worked. So, selectmen, it's as presented, no changes there.
Mhm.
Oh, I take that back. It's just not, it's a point 0.1%.
Oh, yeah.
I took out the, they had requested essentially an additional 20 hours of custodial extra time. And it's a stupid, it's $300, but I still took it out. On the rationale that they're already increasing 6 hours a week. So to me, if you're already getting 6 hours a week, why do you really need another 20 hours somewhere?
Yeah, right.
You know, the 6 hours a week is to cover the old townhouse and other buildings. I don't see how he's gonna spend 6 hours a week at the old townhouse. So, again, it's a stupid amount of money to quibble over,
Was it
so.
6? Oh, 6 hours a week, plus they were looking for 20 hours a year.
Yeah, the new amount is 20 hours, I think he's currently working 14
Right.
per week, so.
Should we, let the selectmen know that
We
we?
should, yeah, probably,
Okay.
because they did request it. And again, whatever, it's $340, it's,
Right, but we'll tell them.
it's a half a penny on every house in town, but it's kind of.
Hate me.
So that's the only change in that section. Health, see here it is again, health.
Yeah, that's the one change.
I had this working yesterday.
As presented.
As presented, all right, thank you. So, this one, there were some changes here. I was able to get, we talked about separating out the labor component from the cemetery and public works, from parks. Barbara was able to get those figures for me, so I made an attempt at separating that out. As we discussed a couple weeks ago, the public works supervisor position is now all encompassing. It's currently listed as highway surveyor. I just changed it to public works supervisor, so we actually want to make a note of that, please, Lisa. See if
Say
we
again,
agree on the
how
word.
we're changing it from?
We're changing the title on the
Right.
line, and I just want to make sure, I'm calling it public works supervisor, they may have a different thing on the job description, so we want to make sure,
ask
we
them.
want to make sure
Ask
it
select.
matches whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Works.
So the $75,000 is the midpoint of the range. The range runs between 65 and 85, so that's there's nobody in the role currently, it's going to be
So
an
we're not
appointed
moving
role.
the cemetery labor, oh, it's not, those aren't the stipends are?
Stipends have been removed, so
Have
you
been
see
removed.
burial agent is now 0,
Okay.
and
Parks Department.
the Parks Department was reduced, and the transfer station supervisor position has been eliminated, so that's why that's a roughly $5,000 change there.
Okay,
So all of those 3 positions are now in this one line.
okay,
So burial, transfer station supervisor, and highway supervisor are all represented in the $75,000 figure. Labor is as presented, it's a 4% increase. Most of their stuff is level funded. The cemetery was divided out based on current fiscal year-to-date expenses. So it was projected to be approximately $2,200 additional labor for cemetery. Same thing with the Parks Department. The Parks Department also had like $600 in equipment that they like maintenance on the trimmers and whatnot. I just put that in
maintenance.
general, well,
Maintenance.
yeah, exactly, general equipment maintenance.
Okay.
So that's what and again, back here, down here, transfer station staff is down because it pulled out the supervisor position, so. Yeah, so that's where we are.
Okay.
Animal inspector is as requested.
I actually have
Sure.
something on that, and
On
I know we've
animal?
had,
Okay.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know that we've, in the
Alright.
past had issues with what was being requested for the animal inspector.
Mhm.
However, we started adding a 2.5%, like adding the cost of living increase.
Mhm.
And I was wondering if it should be done on that line also. You know, we've started adding this 2.5% to, there were about a few different stipends now, including when the tree warden does a request, we always give it to him, and I don't know, I mean, it's not a lot of money, I just kind of thought that
It looks like maybe we might have done it last year. 'cause
Yeah, I think we
We did
did.
go up $100.
I think we did do it last year,
Okay,
so I kind of think that to be, well, even.
that's not.
1.8%?
You only put down,
Did I put 5250 instead of 5355?
you didn't put down, 1%?
1.25, that's,
0.25, isn't
yeah, which is,
Oh, you did 449 instead of 488 or 489.
Oh, thank you,
54.88, 54.89.
thank you.
That's me.
Those are fun ones.
I'm gonna finance committee meeting, can I call you back? Okay, bye.
So what's the difference between the animal inspector and the animal control officer? Is that the same person?
It is the same person. Last year we raised it just in the animal.
Well, we've never raised the animal inspector, that's the only reason I'm asking.
Right, I don't know,
And he didn't, okay. Do you want to raise that one also, or just let it slide?
I don't know.
He didn't request it.
Right, he didn't request any. Let's leave it the way it is, that's what we did last year.
Okay, alright, I mean, that's fair, I think. Let's choose this one. Okay, so that's as requested, that section. Building departments, again, the administrative assistant, we kept at, or I'm proposing to keep at
Same.
same number of hours as they had. Again, recognizing that we did a pretty substantial increase last year. Other than that, everything is as they requested, including the increases for wiring, zoning, whatever. Next section is fire, total crapshoot. I have no idea what the salary is going to be. Obviously, that's going to be negotiated between the board of selectmen and the candidate.
Should we ask the selectmen if they're comfortable with us putting that number in for now?
Yeah, I mean, it represents, thank you, Brian. it represents last year plus 4%, so I think that's, you know, it's a good starting number to use for So the fire EMS services line, the request originally had, it had numbers for
And included medical supplies.
medical, exactly, yeah, thank you. I'm losing it here. Included $10,000 for medical supplies, so I took that out, transferred it down here to our new line of EMS medical supplies, and actually bumped it up a little bit based on current spending that Barbara provided. So their current spending year to date was roughly $10,000, and that's approximately 3/4 of the year. So I increased it to 15 to give them a little bit of a cushion based on current spending. Clerical, same thing as the other departments. It's keeping it at the current level of hours, just giving them 4.5% increase. Equipment and repair, originally that line included $15,000 for medical supplies, which again, we've already transferred to its separate line, so I basically took that out.
It was double reported.
Yeah, exactly, it was double requested, exactly.
Okay.
Yep, and I think they did it that way last year too. I think we actually made that adjustment last year as well. So, pretty close to what they originally requested, and again, new administration over there, who knows, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
So that's how we arrived there. Police is as requested, veterans is as requested.
But it's got a $10,000 drop in the veterans' benefits because she hasn't used it all, which is
Correct,
good.
yeah, she explained all
less-
that when she was in, less people to,
Service.
unfortunately, less people to service, so. Library is as
Maybe I should
requested,
go.
which this does include an additional hour for their circulation clerk, so they can do whatever program it was they wanted to add. So that does. School department, we already talked about, is as requested. Again, dropping the vote to 120 based on their best estimate of 105 to 110. Reserve fund. I went back and forth on this, and what I know we had talked about, Barbara had said that in the past there has been a danger of using all of the reserve fund. I haven't been here when that's happened, but I'm assuming it has happened. I can see how it would happen. What I thought made sense was to kind of index it somehow, to make it a percentage of the overall budget, so that we could say going forward, this is what we're going to set aside for the reserve fund. So as the budget increases or decreases, the reserve fund would increase or decrease corresponding. So I said, okay, well, is it 0.5%? Is it 2/3%? Whatever. So I arrived at, this is 3/4%, roughly. I rounded it off to make it a nice number because I don't like ugly numbers.
That works.
So that's how, it looks like it's a substantial increase. It is a substantial increase. Hopefully we never have to go near it, but I think it made sense to try and, for
You
consistency.
never know what's gonna happen.
Right, who knows?
What's coming?
Whenever you're setting a budget, you try to, set aside a percentage for overruns, and this is kind of what that's, so anyways, that's how I arrived at that. Everything else is, as presented, so that's how we arrived at that 10.9 figure. And hot off the presses,
Did you change something on that?
why is it different? Don't tell me.
No.
Oh, we did change one small number,
Okay.
but it was only a couple $100.
Yeah, but I rember, I thought it said 10,902 when we were,
Okay, yeah,
And
you're
here
right.
you-
It did. We
working
gave,
on
we
me
gave
before.
The I wasn't working.
I kept just teasing.
We gave the animal inspector.
Animal
Increase.
control
Yeah,
officer.
we gave them 2.5%.
We did that last year.
Mm,
I think last year you asked us to do that, to keep it the same.
Okay, so
No, and from what what I understand, we're getting a new one anyway,
Okay.
so it's up to you guys. I don't know.
Yeah, then we'll leave it the way it is.
Because the person basically collects all those three together anyway, the way he builds it out.
right. We had that discussion
Oh,
before
we
you.
had a long
She just
time
give you
ago.
that?
She just gave
Frank,
me that.
Frank, Frank giving that up, is he?
That's our new number.
Oh, that looks wonderful. I'm so happy. Let's vote. Seriously, Barbara, that's perfect. That's just what I was looking for because
Yeah,
now
but
it all makes
that's
sense.
not
to me.
something I've ever done this way. By law, I have to give you what the legal limit
Yeah,
is.
No, no, no,
that's
that's
what we
fine,
want.
that's fine.
And that's what I had to
We'll
do
burn
and, well, I didn't keep it in
Well,
the
but you
computer.
did actually. That 12,292,292
Yeah, right, that's
is the
the
Well,
legal
that's
limit.
not even, no, it isn't because it got changed.
Well, let's not go down
It-
there again. All right, that's
yeah,
good,
it-
excellent.
Okay.
Thank you for that. So just so we understand, this is just so we're clear, so this is the number, if
This
we,
is
all things
last year,
being
this
equal,
is last year's levy plus 2.5% of that, plus the estimated new growth figure. And that, and then, all the other things that were included on here, I have not changed.
okay,
I use the free cash
Same
that we
figures that
were
you-
using.
okay.
I didn't change it, I only changed the top of it.
Perfect.
First, I had to clear my head and think if that's the proper way to
Okay.
give you what you wanted,
Right.
or the proper way that I had to legally give you what you can do.
Right.
But in doing that, it came out, I had a piece of paper that was pointing.
okay.
It came out, that's the one we don't. It came out, the current rate is 17.52 plus 2.5%, it came to 17.96. And you gotta remember, we have the 2.5% plus the new growth, so it came to 17.97, it's a penny. And that's
And it
because
could
of the,
be
that's the
adjusted
50,
depending on what
that's
they
the
end up.
$50,000. And I mean, we don't know what the new growth is gonna be,
Right.
it could be more, it could be less.
And
But
valuations
it-
could go up again.
Valuations could go down again,
Right,
and then the
exactly,
rate
right,
goes
exactly,
higher, so
right.
we have no
Right,
idea
we have no idea.
what's gonna
So many
do.
trees falling on houses. I'd be surprised if they
Yeah.
went up that much.
Is our budget tab still excluding the 55,000 for the van?
Yeah, oh, are you gonna give them,
Yes, I
Okay.
believe so, 347.
you gonna vote
Yes.
the
Yes,
55?
347. No, we're not.
Oh, okay. I just asked because it isn't in mine, and if you chose to
No,
do
no,
it,
no,
I'd
no,
respect
no, I
that
think
and
we're
put
good.
it in accordingly.
Which would be appreciated.
So
Yeah, I don't make those decisions, I don't live here anymore, I don't have a right to.
So
Ooh,
we
that's
wanna-
right.
I don't
Look-
live here.
You're
do
down
we
in
wanna
Carver
vote
now?
on special
No,
town
I
meeting
never lived
articles
in
and get that
Carver.
done?
I think we should.
Middleborough,
Yes.
Old
Middleborough.
Point,
I think we should vote on special town
Be
meeting
over
articles.
55 and
Annual
move
town
on.
meeting articles.
over on Plain
What do we
Street.
want to discuss
Yep.
this on? We
The big
we should take a
development
vote
over
of
there.
the finance committee too. right?
Yeah.
I've only
Yep.
been there 16
Okay,
years
so
tomorrow.
we're going to take a couple of votes here. First,
Oh, boy.
the first vote is we'll vote, do we take them individually?
No, not, you can do the
It's total,
total,
right, okay.
right.
So we want to vote on the special town meeting articles as presented and discussed previously tonight for the total amount of $265,694, funds to be transferred from existing lines.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Will you tomorrow shoot me this new budget so that I can put the numbers in them?
Yes.
Yeah, I just need that new number for the animal thing too that you changed.
Okay, sure,
When
yeah,
you're
I
done,
will
when
send,
you're done.
when we're done voting, I will send
So I just was
everybody a whole new
gonna write
copy of
it,
this, yeah.
I'll write it
yeah,
on that,
it's-
so.
It's
And then I can
$48
plug it in, yeah, it's not a lot, I
Um,
know that, I can tell.
Any discussion on annual town meeting
And
warrant
Notice-
articles as presented?
do we need to discuss that we're not recommending them all?
I think
So that one
that's
be
the
voted?
discussion. So
Yeah.
again, I made my opinion known on the consultant. I don't think we should go down that road of approving that amount.
The 1,500?
Correct. We don't wanna set a precedent. We're
It's
not
a-
disputing,
it's a
we're not disputing value.
Right.
We're not disputing the
It's true.
the
It's the
ability
board's
of the
choice.
person. We're not
There's a little bit of a concern about a precedent of a volunteer who's working, who isn't gonna work anymore if they're not being paid.
essentially.
It's, if you're looking to hire a consultant and you wanna hire, put out for it and hire,
Put it out to bid
Who
and
wants-
take proposals and all of that, absolutely, we can talk. But I think the way it's being presented,
we have some
We
concerns
have
about setting a
concerns
bad
about that.
precedent.
I
so,
didn't even thinking about that part of it, I just looked at the amount of money, thought it was minimal.
It is a minimal
Right,
amount of money,
yes,
it
no
is.
doubt about it. You missed the part where I just
Yeah.
fought over,
That's
what
fine.
was it, $300?
Why do we always do that, not the big $1,000,000 ones? That's
The
what
same
always
thing happens at town meeting.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
They will talk a
Absolutely.
$2 increase to
Yeah.
death.
Yeah,
If
They'll go
if
through-
someone's asking for $1 million, it's like they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. It's happened every year for
Okay.
50 years.
so, under the
44, I've been here.
recommended column, we have, the majority of the articles as presented, excluding the $1,500 request for the
For 40 years I've been here.
and
I've worked
excluding
for
the
the
council on
town since
aging
1977.
van, which I think
That's
we
when I moved in.
feel as maybe a year or so too early. Is that
The van.
okay? The van might be a year or two too
I
early.
agree with that.
We'll address that in the future. Is that?
Yeah, I don't think anybody
A good
had time
summation.
to look into it, see what the whole concept was. It was just thrown on
My
at the
understanding,
end of the year.
I think she kind of wants to get it on the table for, I don't know if they were really expecting it this year. I think they kind of wanted to put it in people's minds. So, any other discussion about these items? In that case, I'll entertain a motion to approve the annual town meeting articles as discussed and presented,
As recommended.
as recommended, thank you, that's the word I'm looking for, in the amount of $345,500 plus $48,903 coming from capital
Stabilization,
fund.
capital stabilization.
Why is it what's CPF?
Community Preservation Fund.
That's what I thought, but it says CPF,
No,
it's
it's
capital
capital purpose
purchasing
fund.
fund, capital
Purpose
okay.
fund.
I took it as the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so anyway,
Okay.
so the two
So the
figures are
1,500
$345,500,
No,
raise and appropriate / free cash, and then capital is $48,903.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Eric, second, Steve, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. So that brings us back, using those numbers. I might have taken it out there. Let's see. So that brings us here. Just a minute. So that brings us to our total budget, as discussed, recommended amount of $10,903,045.
So we've gone through all the lines,
gone
if
through the
anyone has any
lines.
questions.
Any further discussion about any of the lines as we just presented earlier? Okay. Are we good with the Council on Aging Director position? That was, I think, the only one that we you said we wanted to get their opinion. I mean, they can override it.
Yeah,
They
That
can-
would go
exactly.
in.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So our number,
It's just what we're recommending.
we're recommending from the Finance Committee, $10,903,045. Eric moves, Steve
Make a
seconds.
motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, then I think we're ready to adjourn. And
Can you
present
just
to-
flip back
Yes.
up to the animal thing for me for just a half a second so I can just put it on? Steve, get your jacket out of
There
there.
it is.
Oh, it's me.
Okay.
All right, so it's
5489.
which one was it?
It's line
Animal control officer.
345.
Oh, 345.
Yeah.
5489.
5489.
Oh, okay,
Oh, while you're here, that was the only thing we changed.
okay.
While you're here, I just want to make sure I had the number under the correct line. The number that you gave me from the county is the pension number, right? That's our pension line.
Yeah.
Right, okay, good.
Yeah, that's a correction on the
Yep.
pension line.
Yep, so that went down.
Yeah, that would,
Yes, good. Alrighty. In that case, we will adjourn to go meet with the board of selectmen.